The topic which I have chosen for today's talk, as you might have seen, is content based language instruction through technology. Before we start, this is the outline of my talk. This is how I planned my talk to be. Initially, we will have a small se- segment on defining the terms, and then we'll be talking about how technology can be integrated into the content based language instruction platforms. And I would like to wind up with a few afterthoughts, like um, basically to look the whole paradigm in a critical way and leave some food for thought so that this can be taken forward in different forms. So the defining the term, these are the four terms, like, I mean, I have in mind. And this is something, I mean, we all teachers carry this black box inside our head, to which only we have access. And we always expect our students to get access to this black box. I call it as a cat in the head. So you you want these terms, but sadly, it may come, it may not come. Like, I mean, we have to balance. So these are the four terms which I had in mind: content, language instruction, content-based language instruction, which is the next level, and finally the term of technology. So we'll take them one by one and then see. So this is a quiz kind of a thing. Like, I mean, I'm not minimizing my window, so I request the host to help me get some feedback from the chat thing, or if you can unmute and then say there are, like, I mean, 6 images shown here. The point to remember is, like, I mean, so the content here stands for all the courses or the subjects that are taught along with the language, right? So they all work independently from each other. So generally, in many cases, we don't know what happens in a chemistry class, what happens in the physics class, what happens in a geography class. But at the same time, like, I mean, all these different things happen along with the English. And a feeling, it's an overriding feeling, and this is could be my feeling, is, like, I mean, for some students at least, like, I mean, the cognitive challenge of what they study in English is much lower than what they study in the content subjects, right? The subjects like physics, chemistry, etc. They demand more in that sense. And they also have to deal with language, and based on the medium of instruction, it could be English as well. So they might be but many a times we miss this connection of making that, okay, they are studying chemistry in English, or astronomy in English, or environmental science in English. But whether we can make use of that in English when we teach English, that is the whole focus area. So the content, so think about anything that is being taught in your educational settings. So can we partner with them? Can the English language teacher or the language teacher partner with that, and then partner with the other content subjects, and then make use of leverage like what is being taught there? Because many a times students will find it more immediate and authentic. And the sad reality which happens in many cases is, we are the English teachers or the language teachers are the only one who only ones who are really concerned about the language being done. The content subject, physics or chemistry or maths, they all look for value points, whether and irrespective, and they conveniently overlook the fact that whether it is written in good English or bad English, whether they look for the points, and then if they see the points, they give marks. But if you take those scripts and then read, you'll understand as a language teacher, you feel, oh my god, like, I mean, this child needs a lot of support. And this will all backfire when they go for higher education, or when they appear for placements and things like that. Then they realize the value, the importance of English. So the content, like, I mean, there is this watertight compartmentalization of classrooms or content subjects that are being taught, which is something which the content-based instruction is trying to address. Okay, right. So I think I put it in a different way. Like, I mean, the first two things are the same, right? And this English or language can be replaced with anything. Like, I mean, you want to teach, you are on the business of teaching English, or vocation of teaching English, teaching. You need to know, right? Like, I mean, so basically, you need to know what is being taught. You need to know it inside out. You need to know how to teach what you're trying to teach. And the final thing which you heard Rani, right? Like, I mean, so the need to teach, it could also be the better you know, like, I mean, the more you know, the better. If you are able to, uh, that's where, like, I mean, you strike a balance, and then you try to understand, because that the student who might be there studying English in your class may be really good at physics or maths or any other content areas. So are you able to, like, I mean, make use or leverage that into the language instructions? That is something which we can always think of. So moving on, yes. So I hope, like, I mean, everyone can easily identify or relate to this image. RRR and the Nata Nata, right? So I thought of, I mean, I thought of using this image in order to convey this thing. So one person could be the content, and the other person could be the language, right, or the English, and it has to be in sync in order to make it work. Like, so you are using, like, I mean, the content as a means or medium in order to teach English. You have the objective to help your learners learn English. And you are not, like, I mean, you're not telling, like, I mean, don't bring any physics to my class, don't bring any science to my class, don't bring any politics to my class. You have to keep everything away, only English is allowed. No, you are opening your doors to the world, and then telling, like, I mean, whatever you are comfortable with, bring, I mean, or bring it in. We'll see, like, I mean, what we can use in order to learn or make use in order to study, learn English as such. So that is the content-based language instruction in a nutshell. So there is a sync between the content as well as the language part of it. So there are various terms which people use in order to represent this idea. For example, in the US, it is content-based instruction. That is how they call it. If you go to the Europe, you have the CLIL, which is content and language integrated learning. And this is again my perspective. We have this English medium instruction happening in India for a very long time. So that is also a crude form of, like, of English, of CBI or CLIL, which happens. The only thing is, we never thought about it in a very serious way. We never explored the possibility. All content, all subjects are taught in English, but at the same time, whether other subjects complement or contribute to the learning of English was something which was one area which we normally overlooked. Whereas in the US and in the Europe, they try to focus on that a little more. And generally, if you go through the literature of CLIL or CPIL, you can see that there are, like, I mean, three models which people generally advocate in order to have this. First one is a sheltered model, where, like, a lot of instruction is given, like, I mean, but at the same time, and this is targeted at, in the US, it's targeted basically at the children of immigrant workers, like, I mean, so whose mother tongue is not English. So they are from various mother tongue backgrounds. So they have, instead of integrating them directly with the students whose mother tongue is English, they are given some time sheltered. That's why it's called sheltered, where all subjects are taught. Like, I mean, extra assistance help is given to them in the form of sheltered instruction. Then you have this theme-based language instruction, where the units are built around themes. For example, let's say food. Food could be a theme, and the lessons are built around the theme of food or journey or family. And then, like, I mean, there is physics taught through that, there is chemistry taught through that, there is English taught through that. So the lessons are built in an integrated way around one theme, and different activities, everything happens in sync. So it's not like, I mean, you finish the English period and then you close the English textbook and you keep it away. No, here, like, I mean, there is a spread, and you can see that, like, I mean, the same theme or topic that is being taught in English is reverberating in other physics or chemistry or science or social studies, in different things, that so that a lot of reinforcement happens in different classes or in different subject areas. And the third model is the adjunct model or the team teaching model, where the language teacher's role or the focus remains on the language, whereas the content teacher's focus remains on the content, and they work together. So this is a little expensive model because you need to have two teachers doing two things. So the content teacher will still be interested in whether the students have understood the content, whereas the language teacher will be interested in helping the students how to understand the content better, how to work with the content better, how to express it better. So the language part will be completely taken over. So there should be, you cannot, like, I mean, so you're working with a physics teacher, you need to work with the physics teacher and understand what is happening. And one big advantage of the system is you don't have to worry about, like, I mean, the complex physics concepts which you have to, so that will be taken care by the teacher, but you have to help, like, I mean, your students to transact physics in English, like, I mean, with your help. So that will be, they might need some help in vocabulary, they might need some help in constructing sentences, in speaking, in presentation, in listening to some of these things, concepts which might be played in the classroom, so etc. So basically it's a team teaching where you are working along with some other teacher and a content teacher in order to help your students learn and master English. So I hope, like, I mean, all of you are here. So this is where, like, I mean, the technology part comes, right? The content-based language. So there is a content, there's a language, and the technology actually is not the main thing, or it's behind the scenes, helping the content and the language to be integrated. So the technology plays that role of, as Manjima was telling at the beginning, like, I mean, the interconnectedness, the interplay, it gives a platform to kind of connect these two things and bring certain things, or help the teacher to transact the teaching in a way in which it becomes multidimensional and all. So when you talk about the technology, right? Like, I mean, so it could mean different things for different people. So we are talking, when we talk about technology, we are talking about hardware, which are the devices which we see, starting with the phones, which all of us have, our students have. So that is technology. That is technology which you can see, or the interactive whiteboard, which many of your classrooms might have, or the touch screen. Like, I mean, all these are, like, I mean, the hardware part of it. The software side of it is all the applications that are required in order to make it work. For example, the operating systems, or the applications that you install. And nowadays, it could be all based on the cloud. It doesn't have to be. For example, a Chromebook. A Chromebook is a hardware, but the software in the Chromebook is not inside it. Like, I mean, it is on the cloud. So there is no software. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to install anything. You just have to connect to the internet. So that is also internet-enabled technology, or web technology is also something which I believe, like, I mean, that sometimes becomes the phase of technology. Many teachers, when we talk technology, they have all these apps, all these phones, all these Zoom, and all the applications that come to their mind as such. So there is this interplay. So we can see that there are a lot of the our learning, thanks to the pandemic and the COVID. What has happened is, many teachers were inherently shy about using technology, but the pandemic kind of made everyone, or forced everyone to use technology. So uh, whether you are an expert user or still a novice user, doesn't matter. Like, I mean, somehow teachers all over the world, like, go over this fear of using technology. And still, like, I mean, even though the pandemic is over, I believe, like, I mean, the technology and the applications of technology is still there, because of which there is this seamless learning, seam in the sense of a border or a boundary. So earlier it was all limited to the four walls of the classroom, but it is no more like that. Because of the use of technology, I can kind of make sure that learning happens anywhere, anytime, with anything that you have in hand. Like, I mean, so it kind of made it seamless or boundaryless. It is no more confined to the classrooms alone. And you might have heard about all these terms: blended or hybrid learning or flipped learning, where you all the flip learning cases, you already send the content in advance to your learners through technology, and you made them read, you made them watch, you made them produce something, and then come to the class, and then the classroom, the actual classroom time is used in order to do things which you have already sent. So the students either make presentations, they clear their doubts, they do worksheets, activities, etc., built around that, or they clear their doubts. Or it could be the blended, where, like, there could be a blend of both, right? So you finish your class, and then you tell that the remaining things can happen online. Like, I mean, you make submissions online. So in that way. Or the hybrid, where you kind of mix them both, and then say, like, so sometimes, I mean, I have teacher friends who tell that I have a class now, and the immediate question that comes to my mind is, isn't the pandemic over? Why do you have a class now in the night at 7 o'clock? And then they will be telling, yes, like, I mean, these are extra classes, or these are classes, I mean, for the weak students, or these are classes where we just explain homework. So in a way, it's not a great concept, because um, the office is getting extended, right? The work is getting extended, which in my opinion is not a good thing, because the work-life balance is kind of affected, right? At the same time, like, I mean, the possibility of, like, I mean, the of don't have to limit your classroom to that. You're not limited by the time or the space. That is again leverage. So for those teachers who could make use of that, they're not limited by the time or the space, or the learners who are not limited by the time and the space to learn something, they could actually make use of it, and then get the best of both worlds. The interactive whiteboards and all, where students, I mean, can come, they can drag things, rope things, you can show, I mean, the whiteboards come to life. So you want to show them, you want to show an experiment, there are simulations available. So you make use of simulated laboratories, and then make sure that your learners get the first-hand experience of what you have. So it is no more, like, I mean, it has become more tangible. Like, so that is where, like, I mean, this web technology, the growth of the web technology, is something which I've told that earlier, that this is the phase of the technology. When people talk about technology, they already have internet in mind. They have resources that are downloaded from the internet, etc. That's what, like, I mean, so generally that is the conception or understanding. But you might have seen, like, I mean, it can have a wider ambit. So since we web is also a very integral part of this, like, I mean, so I just wanted to highlight the generations of web, I mean, or the technology that has evolved and still evolving. So there are four generations which has happened, and we are in the fourth generation. And many of us are not experiencing the fourth generation fully, but hopefully in another few years time down the lane, we'll be experiencing that. So it all started with the web 1.0, which is a read-only web. You don't have anything, it's a static web. So the content, somebody created the content, put it over the web, and all that you can use it, you can access it and use it, that's it. You cannot interact with it. Then comes the web 2.0, which is the read and the write web. So you can access it, and if you think, like, I mean, I think I can contribute to this, I can do something more about it. So you can also create a blog, or a very good example is all our social media pages. They all make use of the Web 2.0 technology. Suppose, imagine, they were in the Web 1. Nothing is there. Remember, Facebook does not produce any content, or Instagram does not produce any content, WhatsApp does not have any content. So the content is generated by the users. So we are the ones, and we are allowed to generate the content, and because of which the platforms run and the platform becomes rich. You're on Facebook because you have your friends, and the friends share things, and you come to know about what is happening in their life, and you also share at times, and then try to Instagram, people post pictures, and you also post pictures, and we kind of help the platform. We build the platform as such. So that's the read and the write. Then we have the Web 3.0, which where, we got a stint of artificial intelligence and all, the web that understands, the web that could make meaning. So the moment you start asking, is able to kind of respond, understand you, and then make meaning. Or the web has become smarter in that sense. And right now we are in the virtual reality, or the augmented reality, where you have the augmented classes and all. So if your school or your education institution is good enough, you can allow your students to have all these headsets and all, and then go on field trips, where they can tell what they see around, or they can do things, and they can be in this virtual reality or the augmented reality. You can have they are in your classroom, but at the same time, you, along with them, are in a meta world, in a world that is not here, but a world that does not exist also, but at the same time is inhabited by people. So that is the generation that is slowly trickling down, and then we will see, and all these areas, this is kind of helping. There is potential, though people talk about chat GPT and then say, oh god, the future of education is in stakes. Now the students can plagiarize, the students can go ask chat GPT what should be written, and then the essay they just give, and then the chat GPT produce. Yes, of course, that is the that is going along with the times. But as a teacher, we'll have to think about, how it can be integrated, how it can be used in order to help our learners still learn language, become more informed, knowledgeable, experience about the wider world. So we cannot shut down. We cannot say that, no, I cannot, I don't allow use of all these things. If you think it helps your students to learn something, I suggest you better use it. So these are some of these um, preliminary ideas, and then I want to share, some of the things which you could do in order to help integrate technology into your content-based language instruction class. So there are four things given over there. One, learning by learning artifacts, I mean, it could be listening materials, it could be reading materials, it could be videos, things like that. So the good old way was to print them, or bring the physical form into the class and then play it, right? So that was the good old form, which is not scalable. You need to have, and which is not eco-friendly as well. You need to print, and depending upon the large class size which we have, it's not. So then we thought of, let's send it via email, which is again very cumbersome. You need to know the student's email, or you need to create them into a group and then send it. It's not sure that whether they'll be able to be accessing, seeing those emails. Then we created WhatsApp groups and things like that, or to collect information also. So what we generally do here is, one, we use either a folder, a shared folder, and then, ask students to share it through that folder. They don't have to send an email and flood your email with all their projects and assignments and their write-ups and all. Instead, you specify this is the folder, and you can have subfolders in it, and then you tell them, you have to upload your file to this, and you have the right sharing setting, and you'll be able to manage it. Or you don't want them to have a folder access like that, because you don't know, like, I mean, what they could do with it. You can always use Google Forms or Microsoft Forms or any form-based, web-based applications to collect their responses. So again, once again, it's not coming to you as an email. It's not disturbing you. Like, I mean, once they have all responded, you can always go to that place, and it will be all arranged based on the submission and who submitted, when they submitted, etc., in one folder as such. So it's a learning management which we can happen quite easily. Another thing which will be thought of, I mean, using is when we want to share resources, instead of sending it as an email at all, we generally share the link. So we upload it to our drive, or and then we create shareable links, and then we generally share it to our students so that they are able to access it and then use, instead of, like, I mean, sending it again as so. On the LMS, we use Moodle platform here. So what we generally do is, like, I mean, in the Moodle platform, on their LMS course page itself, these links are available. So in case a student misses that, like, I mean, they can always click on that and then access the learning, the resources, as well as they can submit their learning resources. So it's basically you're making use of technology and then making the lives of the teachers quite easier. Another area where, like, I mean, the technology can help you in content based language instruction is in managing the group and the pair work. So generally you have the physical space where you ask the students to work, like, I mean, so you generally, if you're lucky, like, I mean, you have movable furniture and etc. in your class, you're able to make small groups or pair work, and then you can move around and then find so what I mean, the same thing can be replicated online, right? Like, I mean, so the technology mediated learning space. So you can form groups, like, I mean, and then you have seen that during the pandemic, when we were using Zoom and all, you have something known as the breakout function. Like, I mean, so you either pre-divide them, or you tell them, like, I mean, these are the groups, and then you allow them to move into their own breakout rooms, and then work independently from you, and you can always monitor what they are doing by going into them. So suppose a group is interested in learning physics, and they have already uploaded the learning artifact. This is what we want to read. There are 6 of them, and this is what they want to read. They have already shared it with you. You've gone through them. You can always, like, I mean, allow them to have this space where they can discuss this, learn from this, and then you can bring them back to the main room to share what these physicists have found by reading or going through their learning artifact, and then share with the rest of the class. Whereas the chemistry people or the geography people, they can all, I mean, you can manage your learning space. And in a way, it is challenging because, like, I mean, you no more deal with one textbook. You have textbooks, or you have thrown the regular textbook out of the window, and you are telling, like, I mean, I'm open to this idea of, like, I mean, you bringing the learning materials to the class, and then you also learn with them. So there should be a shift in our thinking, like, I mean, that it does not have to be, like, I mean, we can also be, the teachers can also be a senior learner in the class, so we can also learn some bits of physics along with them, if we are not following the adjunct model, right? We don't have a physics teacher working along with us, helping to understand the physics concepts. No, our students, our learners are going to help, and they have a problem, they come to us, and together we kind of sort this out. The copy function is something which I thought, like, I mean, so you want the students to create. One second, I'll just stop share. Yes. So I'll just copy this and then paste it in the chat box. Yeah, so I pasted it. If you click on it, can you just tell me what happens when you click on this, the link that I have shared with you? Yeah, I mean, you can't see the document. You cannot see the document. You can see that. I mean, it says like, I mean, would you like to make a copy of how to enable copy function for your Google Doc? Make a copy. Like, I mean, you have a copy option. Like, I mean, and then all that you are allowed to do is to make use of that. So let me just share. So how did it happen? Like, I mean, all that I've done is like, I mean, this is a Google document with a sharing setting. It can be viewed by all. Like, I mean, that's a basic sharing setting that has to be enabled. And so this could be a listening method. This could be an activity sheet. It could be a reading resource. But you want your students or your groups to work independently. Like, I mean, you don't want them to work on the same document. So this is one way in which they get a copy of this master worksheet without the master worksheet getting affected. Also, for this, all that I have done is like, I mean, I instead of once I have changed everything, the sharing setting into the copy kind of thing, what I've done is instead of the edit, I just added the copy, the copy thing, and then shared that along with this. So that is what happens when you have to share a resource like this. Yeah, so you don't have to make multiple copies, and you can ask the students to share it back to you or upload it to a particular folder, so that you can see what they have done. I mean, each one of them have done in order to help, in order to understand, or whether they have actually done it. All these things you can always check. Okay, let me get back to the presentation. So the same file, the multiple groups, that is again something where you can this is a Google product, again a Google Jamboard. So this is again something which people can work independently, but they work in a group. So what happens is this is a discussion on fairness. Like, I mean, so Fair and Lovely, the use of Fair and Lovely, how the beauty industry makes use of this concept and all. So this is not English, right? So there's a little amount of critical thinking, social awareness, all those things happening, and there are multiple teams in the class. So all that they do is, you can see that there are frames available here. So they'll have to kind of change. They have to tell, like, I mean, what they are doing in their own project. So one link shared with multiple group of people, they come together and then do. So there are things where they can read, they have to discuss, they have to watch, and then based on all that, like, I mean, they all work together and they can see each other's work basically. So once they are done, like, I mean, they can go to others frames and then see what others are doing. So there is always this community of learning which happens in terms of like what again the teachers, the control the teachers exert is going to be minimized. You don't have full control of what your students are doing. And the learning stations idea is like, I mean, you create different points, different corners in your classroom where, like, I mean, the same thing, the technology mediated learning space, and you tell them, like, I mean, they can learn whatever they want. So some people might want to draw pictures in order to learn. Some people might want to watch something. So, or they want, like, I mean, they don't like pair work or group work. So you can always tell them, like, I mean, okay, people who are interested to deal with this learning artifact in a way, you go to this corner, like, I mean, and then do. So the teacher can move around and see what each one, each group is doing. So this is another use of technology which, I mean, has enabled again because thanks to the Web 3.0 and to the read and write web, you the the typical size of my class is like, I mean, 60, 70, right? Like, I mean, so it's not practically not possible for me to, within the limited academic calendar, to finish listening to all of them. So what we generally do is we ask our students to like upload, I mean, make video recordings and upload things, so that, like, I mean, people are able to see it. People are able to I can see it at a later stage, or like, I mean, I can see it when I get time. And also I tend to see, like, I mean, what each person is doing. So these are the different, I mean, think we are running out of time. So I'm not going to show like the so one is a group discussion example. So they generally do the group discussion at their free time or during the weekends, holidays. They come together on, and they're also now familiar with the different platforms they have. So they come together, they choose a topic, they conduct the discussion, they record it, and then they get back to the class and then upload it. And submissions as learning resources. This one is like, generally the resources are collected and put together in one place, and it's shared back to the class so that everyone can see what others have done, right? And they can learn from each other. So that material itself becomes, a source for learning English, using English, how, uh, others are operating with English. So that is again another thing. So the scope of the textbook gets widened. These are learner produced resources, and they were not primarily meant for teaching English or learning English. But since they have access, and students generally what they do is they are interested to see what their friends have done in other teams and in other groups. So when they have access to it, they'll spend some time at least to see like, what others, how others, and each group chooses a topic which is totally different from what the others. So they all come together maybe around the theme or or the topic that they are interested in, and then they do it. We cannot overlook the use of technology without talking about the smartphones, which all of us have, or even our students carry with them. And you just ask your student, like, there is an app for every reason, and if you ask them, they'll also share interesting apps they have on their phone. For example, that Elevate app, like, that's a brain-based app, like, which I've come across through one of my students. So this question, like, what is the favorite app in your phone, and why is it your favorite app? So either they make a presentation, or they write about it, they record themselves, and then they upload. So you are also moving away from your comfort zone, right? Like, and then you're also getting exposed. You're also become, as I told earlier, you're also becoming like a senior learner, and then working along with them. And then this Elevate app, what it does is, it's a bite-sized. It gives you three exercises, mental games, like, some based on arithmetic, some based on language, some based on logic and reasoning. So you have an option to, like, play more, like, so it's basically an app which students have shared with me. Or the Pocket Cast, that is a podcast app. We all have the Google, and podcasts are a ready resource for getting access to different contents. There are content podcasts around the theme of science, technology, politics, geography, economics, like, or current affairs. So there are podcasts. So if you think your students are interested in listening, you can always encourage them to subscribe to podcasts and bring them to the classroom so that the class can. So one thing we do here is, like, at Shiv University Chennai, is we encourage students to bring what they are interested in, what they have enjoyed, but they have to tell, like, how they have enjoyed, or why they have chosen it. And that's also given, the other students are also given access to that on the Moodle platform, so that the others also get a chance to. Okay. And generally what we have seen is, what we have noticed is, they build groups around it, like, and we'll also come to know about interesting podcasts which we generally are not aware of otherwise. So basically, in the content-based, content integrated language instruction classroom, the learner's experiences matter, because if you don't find a physics teacher or a maths teacher to work with you, you can always find a student, one of your students who's really good at math, like, who might be acting with you, in order to see, like, how language can be exploited, the use of language can be exploited in that particular content. So their experiences, and there are students, there are learners in our classrooms who do a lot of things which are other than the language, but in language. So if you see their blogs, or if you see them public social media profiles on LinkedIn and all, like, the way in which they express themselves, you might wonder sometimes, like, this particular student was very silent in my class, but in this, on LinkedIn, they have written a long write-up on artificial intelligence. Like, you also learned about it. You can bring them back, that feedbacks to the class, and then kind of works as a learning resource for others. I think I've come to the fag end of the presentation. Some afterthoughts, like we have to understand that, so the learning spaces are getting leveraged by technology. But if you think, it has to be that way. It cannot be technology going in front of learning. It should be learning demanding the use of technology, or learning taking the advantage of the technology that's happening. So you think, a particular content can be brought into the classroom, and technology helps you to bring a video. It helps you to bring a reading material to the classroom. It helps you to bring an interactive experiment to the classroom. You bring it. So if it does not contribute, if it does not complement the learning, which should ideally take place, if in my opinion, if you can teach without technology, fine, well and good. That's good. But if you think, you're teaching your learners experience of learning, everything can be leveraged with the use of technology. Please use that. At the same time, it's not a silver bullet or a cure for, it does not, people have this fear of technology replacing teachers. In my opinion, it's very unlikely to happen. Even if you have heard of robots teaching classrooms in South Korea, you have to remember that there are actual human beings behind the robots who are uh, making the robot work in a particular way, right? So I don't see, because each classroom is unpredictable. Each moment of learning is unpredictable, and the technology, in my opinion, hasn't become that smarter to differentiate that. It does not still have that humane touch, or the technology that is available in the public sphere still does not have that humane touch. The things that we teachers can make out, by looking at our students, by looking at their faces, by listening to the tone in which they're giving the answers, these things, technology is still taking time to learn. And does that mean, since our learners are immersed in technology, they grew up with technology, they are really good? Yes, they might be good at technology, but teachers still have a role to play in showing them how these use of technology can actually leverage learning. How it helps them to learn things. Basically, students might be using technology or internet, their phones, in order to have entertainment, right? So you can help them see, show that how a particular app can help them learn English in a better way, how their pronunciation can be checked, or can be fine-tuned using a simple app like a voice recorder, which is available on the phone, how their camera can be used in order to record themselves making a presentation and then getting a feedback from it, how different apps that they have on the phone is actually helping them to learn, or find learning resources. So in my opinion, it's my strong opinion also, that lot of learner modeling training, so I can tell that, hey, this is how I use this technology, right, in order to help me learn things, in order to help me get things done. So that can be a model for my learners to kind of adapt. And I can also, when they share, okay, I do it in a different way, so show me, and then I can learn how they do things. So my classroom is a leveler, where I cannot sit on a high pedestal and then teach. Knowledge doesn't flow from the high pedestal. I go around, I know that there is always a takeaway for me, the teacher, as well as for the learner. So there is always that relation. That's why the last point of the symbiotic, right? I'm also learning. With my students, when I introduce a topic that is not from my core area, right? I'm also learning new things. I'm also learning science. I'm relearning science, my basics of science. I'm relearning about the environment that I see around. I'm learning about pollution. I'm learning about a gig economy, because that's what my learners are interested in. And I think, if I make use of that and then pursue it, it makes it much more easier, much more interesting and authentic and immediate, useful to the learner. And the fourth point over there, the reduce the number of clicks. So when I integrate technology, or when anybody integrates technology, it shouldn't make the students' life, because you have to remember that the learners have to learn if the technology that you're introducing is new. For example, Jamboard. I'm using Jamboard. When I use Jamboard for the first time, my students need some warm up time. Like, I mean, they need to know, like, I mean, how to use the Jamboard. What do I have in mind? What are the possibilities that they could use the Jamboard for? For that, like, I mean, I need to give them some time. I cannot use some other technology the next week, then some other technology the next week, or every day I bring a new technology to the class. The students are going to get fed up with me. I'm going to get frustrated because the students are taking time to learn how to use the technology. So please, I mean, you have chosen a technology, stick with that technology for at least a semester or at least a few months before. Once the students have become confident, once the students are able to do it with ease, then only introduce a new technology to the class. You might also need some time